gentle butts, I'm back under a new name and a new avatar. I'm sorry I haven't been uploading for a while, mainly because I'm almost a 20-year-old woman who's already in her second year of college. But you didn't need to know that. So yeah, I've just been keeping up with school and doing well for now. I know Hispanic Heritage Month has ended, but I want to talk about a Mexican anthology series produced by Televisa. If you don't know what's an anthology, basically it's a collection of stories that connects to a specific genre. In this case, it would be the Virgin herself. Even though the Virgin is a thing, it's not really a genre, but whatever. This show in particular explores the sadness and despair in Mexican society. With prayer and the help of the Virgin of Guadalupe, everything is all fine and dandy. Now, I'll explain the origin and the reasons as to why the show had a reputation for being an unintentional comedy. Before we jump into it, this is in no way of offending the Catholic religion at all. You believe in what you want. I'm just only explaining how the show came to be known in the Hispanic community. ¡Comencemos! The show was created by a man named Carlos Mercado Orduña. He made the show out of desperation to make a series about the Catholic religion. When he was at the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe, he felt a wind blowing, in which that was used near the end of every episode. The wind will blow into the character's face as they have their eyes closed. At least the wind doesn't come from a titan knocking down walls or a Category 3 hurricane that broke a roller coaster. It was not long after another man of the name Miguel Ángel Eros stepped in to take care of production, whereas Carlos writes the stories based on the Virgin of Guadalupe. Televisa, the production company who at first rejected the project, let him do the show, and La Rosa de Guadalupe was born on February 5th, 2008, premiering on Las Estrellas network, eventually tuning in on other Hispanic channels such as Univision in the United States a few months later. However, this is not the only anthology show Televisa has put out. Back in 1985, actress Sylvia Pinal hosted a show called Women Real-Life Cases. The show is one of the first to explore a lot of taboo subjects at the time, such as domestic violence, child abuse, drug use, rapes, and all of the above. More similar shows started popping up from time to time, such as Decisions and As the Saying Goes. The format of the plot varies from story to story. It may start off all cutesy and happy, or jump right into the anticlimactic event which would then show how it came to be. When the show reaches into its climax, a side or main character would pray to the Virgin, in which a white rose would appear. After the problem is resolved, the wind of a tiny toy fan would blow onto them. Eventually, the character would start narrating the message of the story and give advice to 60-year-old abuelas as the white rose fades away. After the show's release, it started to garner a lot of negative feedback, and boy, we got some things to cover. Reason number 1, the writing and production. Since the series began, it rose up to 2,000 episodes, which astonishes me as to why. Well, thanks to Mexican YouTuber Damahe explained why the production of every episode is mediocre. For obvious reasons, they rushed it. At first, the show would air 83 episodes per year, but it jumped up to 165 per year. They would film different scenes at the same time, which can result in a clusterfuck. But get this, they brought 8 different directors to film those different scenes simultaneously. The duration of every filming and segment of production lasts for 3 days, whereas general production of a TV series takes 1 week. An example of this would be a documentary from 2011 called 6 Days to Air, where South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone showed the process of the episode Human Centipede. First, the discussion. Second, the storyboard. Third, the voice acting. Fourth, the animating. And last but not least, fifth, editing, adding music and sound effects. In Damahe's example shows The Big Bang Theory, a beloved sitcom that had the same format, storyboard, acting, editing, and it only had one director, Mark Sidrowski. That is why there's a saying, too many cooks in the kitchen, and quantity over quality. The writing tends to use outdated slangs, in which seeing young strangers picked up from school to say those slangs can be very cringy. Like, who says those words nowadays?
¡No te me achicopales! ¡Estuvo poca abuela!
Hay un chavo al que le tenemos que dar un buen escarmiento para que ya no se vuelva a meter con mi hermana.
It doesn't surprise me since this show was made by boomers. Some things may sound good on paper, but when it comes to visual delivery, it depends if it works or not. But in this case, it doesn't. In this episode, in Offensive Games, a girl was playing a shitty Chinese League of Legends ripoff with an anonymous player named Selenita, who would recruit kids to play a game with him and convince them to search for a box of hardcore drugs in a trash can and put it in a specific place. To me, it sounds like it can happen, but so far, there's no news reports on it as far as I can tell. The writing can be so lazy that they would rehash ideas for past episodes, including the dialogue. Let me say this. Televisa isn't any better. They are known for making rehash after rehash after rehash of different telenovelas. For example, a Venezuelan show called La Indomable was released in 1974, lasting 20 episodes. The story follows a poor girl named Maricruz Olivares who falls in love with a rich guy named Octavio. The antagonist named Lucia framed Maricruz for theft and puts her in jail mainly because she's poor. Eventually, Maricruz gets out and gets rich and woohoo, happily ever after. A remake from Mexico called The Revenge was released in 1977. Another one starring singer Thalia premiered in 1994 under the name Marimar. This version was very popular from its time, even to this day. It was that huge that the Philippines made their own version of Marimar in 2007. Then another Mexican rehash under the name Wild at Heart for 2013. Then another one for the Philippines in 2015. There are other shows Televisa has rehashed, but ain't nobody got time for that. Reason number 2, the acting. What's there to say? The acting can be flat, terrible, and over-exaggerating. That includes kids who are clearly inexperienced. Some of them acting like they don't want to be part of it. Thanks to the 8 directors, the acting can be cringe. Let's take this clip for example.
Nosotros estamos platicando sin molestarlas. No entiendo. Es que no hablo el idioma de los patitos feos. Me caí al agua.
Hubiera estado ahí.
¿Para rescatarme?
No, para hundirte.
Pero no te agüites, hermanita. Yo me pongo a ver videos de BTS contigo y comemos palomitas.
¿Pero a ti no te gusta BTS?
No, guácala, pero lo que sí me gusta es estar contigo.
I don't blame the actors for doing a shit job. It's their director's fault for not directing them properly. After all, that's their fucking job! The acting can tend to be so obnoxious and cartoony that it will leave the viewer either laughing their asses off or annoyed, especially in this clip.
¡Por un celular me estás pegando! ¿Cómo te atreves a pegarme por un celular? ¡Te estás volviendo loca! ¡Vamos a acabar con esto de una buena vez! ¡No! ¡Mi nieta!
That also includes how they deliver their lines. Sometimes the tone of their voice doesn't match with their face expressions, like Anna, who convinced her mom to get a phone.
Está bien. Te lo voy a comprar.
or forgetting a line. For example, the Monster Ball Go episode, the invitees are singing a birthday song to the main character, Liam, but they don't know his name, so the background kids saying random names.
A los muchachos bonitos se las cantamos así. Despierta, muy bien, despierta.
Reason number 3, lack of research. I think the biggest problem with this show is the lack of research of hard subjects. Not only that, they would spread misinformation that can manipulate bedridden abuelas into thinking this can be true. For example, there's an episode where a girl named Penelope, who has abstinence syndrome because her mom had smoked pot, and would react instantaneously when she sees Snoop Dogg. Apparently, according to the show, a parent who smokes weed would pass the addiction onto the fetus through genetics. But there's no proof of the cause of abstinence syndrome from marijuana. However, there are similar cases of other drugs that can pass on to the child, like heroin, alcohol, cigarette smoke, etc. Those substances can actually hurt the child and affect them. Another example is the episode called Press Play and Fly, where apparently a group of friends finds they can get high from binaural beats. According to the swaddle, audio drugs are a collection of audios that supposedly replicates the effects of drugs such as acid, cocaine, marijuana, etc. Doing so can synchronize the brain to achieve an altered state of being. So far, there hasn't been any evidence of people getting high from them. And what about the challenge? Remember that? The producers don't know anything about it. They thought the challenge happened because of a Facebook group, where in reality, it was a group of Russian hackers from VK. They do touch on pedophilia, peer pressure, prostitution, alcoholism, drug addiction, bullying, etc. But the way they presented these topics are usually lazy, mean-spirited, misleading, poorly executed, and contrived. Reason number 4, same actors. If you watch an episode of the show and onward, you'll realize they would reuse the same actors in a good number of episodes. Not to contradict myself, I understood that at least a few of the actors and actresses would be reused, but it's done to shit. It seems like they can't afford another actor or actress, just like how EA supposedly can't afford voice actors to record the lines for Madden 22 while having billions of dollars. Usually within an anthology, every episode would include completely different actors, just like Black Mirror, which is far more superior. Reason number 5, stereotypes. One thing about this show that pisses me off is that how the adolescents are constantly portrayed as bratty dodo bird antagonists. Psychologically speaking, yes, teenagers tend to think they know what they're doing, but they understand certain things in some degree. Some tend to learn things the hard way. Teenagers are in a period in life where they're learning to find out their true selves, and they should know what's right and wrong from teachers to their parents. It seems as though the parents of these characters have lack of parenting. I thought this was supposed to be a Hispanic show, not fucking Super Nanny. Where the chocolate's at? The portrayal of Caucasians are usually portrayed as Elon Musk, rich as fuck boy. Of course, the portrayal of brown people are the fact they are poor and they have lice in their hair, which is not always true. And no, praying to the Virgin doesn't always solve everything. They can pray to hope, but in order to make things happen, do something about it. It seems like to me they're portraying Catholics as if this is what they do on a daily basis. Reason number 6, the music. The music sounds pretty linear and generic. Stock piano music sounds like Hans Zimmer by comparison. They would tend to borrow music from somewhere else. For example, in that Monster Ball Go episode, when Liam and Pepe were caught taking a break, they were stacking empty boxes. But when they were told to get back to work, a song plays. That would be fine and all, but being the big brain gamer grill that I am, I managed to deduce where I might have heard the song from. Immediately, I remembered and searched the video to find compilations of Canadian PSAs. Oh my goodness. The comparison is so unbelievable.
Coincidence? I think not!
In dramatic events, they used this amazing song. And for when the rose appears and disappears, you'll hear a church choir sing a full octave.
This may be the most horrible, putrid, poorly prepared, vile, unappetizing.
Reason number 7. Episodes based on real-life cases. I'll give you some examples of episodes that were based on real events. Some of these episodes usually come across as either mean-spirited and disrespectful. Close the tab. Basically, the episode was based on a YouTuber called Lamar's, who dropped out of high school when she was 16, ranted about why school sucks and pointing out flaws in society, which led to negative backlash. I understand where Mars was coming from, but the thing is, people go to school to be something in life. Of course, you don't need school to have a job. There are jobs that don't require a high school diploma. However, if you want to have a great job that pays you a butt ton of money, obviously you go to a training school, a college, or a university to study in your craft. In general, people with a bachelor's degree earn more than someone with a high school diploma. That's just facts. Also, you don't have to get married, and of course you don't need to have kids. That's your choice. If you want to live and die alone, that's on you. One thing she said I can agree is to not do things to impress others. Do things for yourself. Life is like a racetrack, and the obstacles are going to have roadblocks and struggles, but you'll get through them. Plus, I didn't know Amanda Cerny was casted in this show. Pokemon Go. They parodied the already known app and changed it to Monster Ball Go, in which the Pokemon discounts are just ordinary animals. Basically, two guys are in love with a chick named Jennifer who has absolutely no interest in being with them. She promises that she'll date whomever collects the most Chinese knockoffs. In the middle of the episode, one of the two guys gets run over for being distracted, but he survived. Oh, and get this. Playing Pokemon Go would increase the chances of getting kidnapped. I don't think that's possible. However, there were cases of young Karens and Kyles dying from distracted driving and for not paying attention to oncoming traffic to play Pokemon Go. TikTok. The episode has its own discount bin app called Click Clock. Couldn't they come up with a better name? I kind of like how they poke fun of themselves, especially in this scene.
Cuando te caes en la vida real. Ah, no manches, me caí. Cuando te caes en la flor de María.
Just like in Monster Ball Go, the idea is in vice versa. The guy decides whomever gets the most followers and likes on the app dates him. Unsurprisingly, one of the bimbos died from falling off the balcony while doing a TikTok video. I'm not going to say click clock, because that sounds so fucking terrible. The clown is going to come out. Remember the clown sightings craze that occurred in 2016 in school didn't allow students to dress up as a clown or wear a mask? Well, they made an episode involving pranksters dressing up as clowns where they scared an old woman to death to getting chased by a mob who killed one of the three. And get this, these idiots want protection from the store clerk who they robbed earlier. It's like asking Ted Bundy for help a couple days after he attempted to kill you in a van. Momo episode. During the Momo craze back in 2018 before getting more attention in the US in 2019, they were not afraid of touching it. So the noodle boy saw a video of Momo and dropped his older brother's phone. He was scared shitless that every night at 3 a.m., Momo comes out of the bathroom after finishing smoking pot with Snoop Dogg to provoke the boy. Sounds like a 3 a.m. clickbait YouTube title. Thanks to drag queen Jeff the Killer, the noodle boy developed a bad anxiety. Cosplay, let's save the world. This is one of the most cringiest episodes I laid my eyes on, in which portrayed otakus to be weirdos. The acting is ungodly, the characters are laughable and stereotypical. It's obvious the writing team didn't put much effort into researching anime and cosplay. In reality, no one cares if they have a friend who watches anime and read mangas as long as they don't shove their tastes down people's throats. And no, people who cosplay don't wear the same outfit every damn day, even to go to bed. You can do cosplay as a hobby or a career. Fucking amateurs. A moment in life. Essentially, 2 teenage girls are crying because Justin Bieber tickets are sold out. The only way for them to get tickets is to auction their virginity. In actuality, this happened. Some JB fans in Mexico literally sold their virginities for a stupid ticket. I understand you want to be your idol, but my goodness, you lose your virginity with the person you truly love. Not with some stranger that you barely knew. Personally, I'm not a Bieber fan, but I don't think he appreciates what they did. Okay, the last 3 examples will be dark, so you can skip it to this time if you want. Goodbye Innocence. This is basically a lost episode. It was never aired on TV because the victims were disrespected. It was based on 2 underage girls who were assaulted by 2 thieves in a camp. The episode followed Carolina and Magda being jumped by 2 thieves. Carolina planned on taking revenge on them years after the assault. I'm glad this episode was never aired. You should have some respect for those victims, man. My Guardian Angel. An episode based on a tragic fire in a daycare center called ABC in Sonora, Mexico, occurred on June 5th, 2009. Unfortunately, 49 toddlers and infants died from asphyxiation from the smoke, while over 40 children were injured from burns. The episode doesn't follow the story accurately because they saved all of the little tykes and babies and they weren't harmed, which is clearly disrespectful to the families and the victims. Red Socks, based on the murder of a 5-year-old girl named Lupita who was killed by her stepfather and mother. If you want to make an episode surrounding femicides, which might I add, between 1993 to 2005, it was reported that 370 women and girls were killed in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. This caused international attention, and so many protestings were usually about femicides, mainly because the government didn't do anything to stop the violence. The Rosa Guadalupe does a very inhumane job on touching on heavy real-world subjects in a lazy way. If you never cared to make the episode, why did you make it in the first place? I know Televisa wants you to keep milking episodes left and right, but make a different episode for crying out loud. If you only made this episode for a quick buck, you're just disgusting. You're obviously profiting off of people's misfortunes, and that is not okay. If you look at an episode on the surface level, it seems like a cringy, over-the-top Saturday Night Live skit to show off editing skills. It's trying to take itself seriously, but the deliveries are lukewarm milk. It was that bad that the internet made a lot of memes about the show, especially the wind-blowing scenes. The memes usually pokes fun at mothers and grandmas, insinuating they're the only demographic who watches it and took it seriously. Of course, young people like myself have seen the show, and I can't help but laugh at the character stupidity. I suggest taking the show as a joke. It makes the viewing experience more fun than it already is. If you or you know someone who watches the Rosa Guadalupe and liked it, all the power to you. Who knows when will the show end? And when will they make the production less Pipkins and more Good Morning Call? Only time will tell. Overall, the Rosa Guadalupe is one of those shows that tries to take itself seriously, and guides the audience with their messages. But most of the time, the message either doesn't make sense or it doesn't match the story. To dumb it down, it's so bad, it's good. The acting is abysmal, the production and writing are rushed. Television needs to stop milking it before it starts to develop chunks and dust. That is all you need to know about this unintentionally hilarious abysmal train wreck. Now you've understood the suffering the Hispanic community had to endure for 13 years. My channel name is called Lozy now. If you still want to refer to me as Chica, go to the comments section and type the lyrics for the Big Comfy Couch theme song. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want, and I'll be back to get the milk. Bye bye!
You know, Jesus, I've been thinking a lot about you lately. Well, that's why I wrote this song. I love you, Jesus. I want you to walk with me. I take good care of you, baby. Call you my baby, baby. You died for my sins, and you know that I would die for you, right? What's the matter, baby? You're trembling, Jesus.